You know, it never ceases to amaze me just how profound this journey really is. And it never ceases to amaze me just how much you can always learn. You know, if you always move from a place of learning instead of trying to earn in this world, there's going to be so many benefits that come to you. There's going to be so many things that happen to you that you might not even see as benefits or blessings, but it's absolutely going to be a blessing, and it's absolutely going to be a benefit to you and a benefit for you. Because all of these hindrances, all of these things that are trying to test you and try you on this path. And by the way, welcome to another Semen Retention Sunday episode here on the Regal Change account. But all these things that are trying to really stop you from being who you are and becoming who you are, you're no longer like this stick that can easily break, right? You're no longer like that. Instead, you become pliable. You become more bendable in the best possible ways, because now you are bending to God's will in accordance to His terms. You're living life on His terms, the God's terms. And when you have a creative aspect along with this, serendipitous way of living, the communion that you have with God is going to be much more intimate. And it might be intimate in a way that you might not expect with God. And what I mean to say is that you might reveal certain things about yourself unto Him that you didn't even know about yourself. Because recently there's been a lot of things happening in my own life, and as well as the collective conscious that I can see, is that they're not being able to be bendable. They're more like easily broken. And they've become this, they've become like a really, really messy pool of water, as well. I think that there's a great imagery in Kung Fu Panda where Master Oogway, the turtle, is talking to Shifu, and he's like, your mind is like this pool of water. If you allow it to settle, the answer becomes clear. So many people are caught up in trying to get somewhere, to be something, or to have this, to get at that. And this is all like engineering from the cultural ineptitudes of reality, where like they don't have, like, they're just so stupid. I mean, these, not the people, because the people are just being coerced, but it's like the engineers who are trying to manufacture society to make people depressed, to make people anxious. It's like all of this fakeness just breeds more fakeness. And what I've found is that the more real you are, and this isn't trying to be, you're not trying to be an a-hole for no reason or anything like that. You're just setting boundaries and holding to them. You have principles, you have standards, and if somebody's going to hold you accountable, you're going to hold them accountable, and you want to see people prosper in accountability. All of a sudden, when you are being too real for people, they can't handle it. They want to earn their way or fake their way to the top rather than learn their way to the top. And I think that the more knowledge that you accumulate, the more you're going to realize, especially on the semen retention journey. I mean, it's a lifestyle for a reason. I preach about it being a lifestyle for a reason, because there's just no possible way that you can understand the true depths of this journey unless you're on the life, like you're making it a lifestyle. Now, if you're in a long-term relationship or whatnot, like I wouldn't recommend hookups or anything like that. This channel is definitely not for people like that. And this channel is not for people that are like, oh, I'm doing semen retention so I can get some women. Yeah, that's way to go. You've reoriented your life to cater to women. Uh, Good for you, man. Go for it somewhere else. But it is an important aspect and it is a benefit. Don't get me wrong. The spiritual benefits of retaining manifest in very many different ways, including the attraction of women. Like, women are just going to be attracted to you in a different kind of way. Of course they are. I mean, you're being more of who you are, and the woman is attracted to more of who you are rather than anything else, and why you are the way that you are. She wants she wants to see who you are under certain circumstances, and I think emotional resilience, and I think that semen retention gives you emotional resilience in a way that you don't usually have. You are able to like conquer problems easier as well. Like, for example, like there's a I've said in the past that you can discern a man's character based on the magnitude of his problems, basically. You know, because if your biggest problems are getting women to be attracted to you, I don't really think you have enough big problems in life. I don't think you're actually focused on what your purpose is. But as soon as you start, because guess what? That purpose problem, whatever your purpose is and whatever problem you're trying to solve to help humanity or to help the world, to help life, that's I mean, golly, man, that is a hard task to really take on, because it's not easy. It's not easy on purpose. You know, if it were easy, then everybody would be able to do it, right? If it were easy, then there would be more people out here that are capable of doing the kinds of things that you are, but they're not, and you're doing something completely different. You're exceptional, and especially if you're on semen retention, you're automatically within the top like 5% of masculine men in the world, because it's just, I mean, you may not be in the top 20% financially, you may not be in the top 20% as far as looks and whatnot, but as far as masculinity goes and what you're trying to do in life and what you're striving to do in life, I mean, man, it's just a completely different world once you recognize exactly who's who on this path. I mean, you know, people that are just degenerate. I had somebody ask me recently about, you know, certain things that are like, what are my goals with semen retention exactly? Like, what are my long-term goals? And it's like, it's not really a goal anymore. It's something that is in itself. Like, it itself is intrinsically valuable. It itself is why I do it. I don't do it for a reward. God will absolutely reward you, yes. And I've made a video about this a while back. God will absolutely reward you. And God will absolutely test you. And people will try to test you. And life will test you. And all of these things, it's going to get difficult, man. Like, this is one thing I've learned recently. It's like, life never gets easier. You're always looking for a break, right? You're always looking for a break. Like, I got to a point recently with God where I was just like, what was all this for exactly? You know, I took 2-3 steps forward, and then it felt like I took 10 steps back in this area of my life. And I thought, like, why did I have to go through that, God? Why exactly did I have to go through it? Why did I have to leave the situation that I entered into, which was very promising? Why did I have to leave 10 steps behind and from my 3 steps forward? What exactly was that? And honestly, I felt God, but I haven't heard a lot of God recently. It's like he wants me to learn how to handle this on my own. And honestly, if I was a depleted coomer and I was out just, you know, worshiping women all the time and their vajayjays, man, I would not be able to handle the kind of issues and the problems that I'm facing currently in life. There's just no way. But the thing is like, this is where life is. And I'm excited for this. It sucks, it's painful, it hurts. But if you possibly think that it's going to get easier, you've got to be kidding yourself, bro. You've got to be kidding. There's no way. Like, you can have all the passion, you can have all the igniting zest that you could have muster. Like, you could be an absolute beast in the world. You could be the godlike savage that you know you are and that you're capable of being. But life, excuse my French here, but life is a bitch, man. Life, if you don't pay attention to life, life is a cruel mistress, okay? If you don't pay attention, and I don't like to say necessarily pay attention, but invest attention. If you don't invest attention into the proper modes of being, boy, oh freaking boy, do you have it coming. Boy, oh freaking boy, are you going to get a slap in the face so hard that you have no clue. You have no clue. And these fake people out here, they can't understand this. They can't understand this. And the more trials and errors, holy moly, and the more trials that you're able to go through, and the more the trials that you overcome, the stronger your spirit is. And when your spirit is stronger, that means that you now have experience in a different mode of being, and you have more sense of understanding about who it is that you are and what you're really capable of. Do you know, like, when things really get hard, when things get really difficult, and you now have the spirit to overcome, you now have the spirit to ignite that sense of purpose in your life. It's not really all about passion or motivation. I don't really believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. I believe in responsibility. I believe in accountability. And motivation, it may be true that, like, for example, on our Regal Change Academy calls, nearly everybody that I've talked to has had, like, after the facts of some of these calls, they have this, like, kinetic energy that's built up from these calls where they're able to go out and do things, or they just feel a sense of calmness afterward. And I think what that is with the group that we have is everybody's able to share energy without trying to rob anybody of anything. They're trying to give. Nobody's trying to rob people from anything there. Everybody's trying to give, and everybody's trying to create. When you have that kind of energy, it overflows in such a positive way through your life. And all of a sudden, you might be intimidating to some of these people. Like, your presence, just because of your willingness to overcome hard times, just because you have the endurance to overcome hard times, your spirit is going to be strong and fortified in a way that these other fake people, man, they can't even understand or can't comprehend what you're going through. They'll just stutter their way through trying to understanding it. What is happening tonight? It's like all of these noises. Excuse me. Okay, so the fireworks stopped. We had a holiday here in Utah. It was a Pioneer Day. And I guess they do fireworks for 3 days before and 3 days after sometimes. And I'm filming this later at night, you know, right before I'm going to be posting this in the morning. But anyway, yeah, so they've got 3 days before and 3 days after, and it's currently the third day of doing more fireworks. So I don't know how much. I mean, it's still pretty light out, but anyway. So back to the video. What I really want to conclude with is that when you're on semen retention, yes, it is true that your presence is going to be fortified in a way that, I mean, people can't comprehend. But they're also not going to be able to understand you. And I think expecting people to try to understand you is going to be a mistake. Had to move this inside because it was just getting way too loud out there. My apologies for the excessive noises. But anyway, what I really wanted to leave you with was that there's just no way that people can comprehend what you're going to be going through. And there's just no way that you ought to expect them to comprehend it on this path of semen retention and just the path of purity in general. It's just not going to be plausible or reasonable for you to sit there and think that like they should understand. And I don't think that you should be getting a high off of being intimidating to other people. I don't think that's right. I think that's kind of more of a egoic sense of understanding of what is actually happening. But simultaneously, what I think is also occurring for many people is that they see something inspiring in you. And I think that's something to be encouraged by. It's not something to, like, they see that you're a healthy individual, right? They see that you're healthy. They see that you have something going. And yeah, you know, you're going through it. You're going through the trenches. And sometimes you just have to go through those trenches and you will come out on the other side stronger and more fortified, and you'll have better boundaries, and you'll have a better understanding of what exactly it is that you're supposed to be doing. I think that those parts where you're in the trenches, that's where you get to really know like exactly what kind of person you really are and who you're trying to be. And that's where the most growth happens too. So when you're there, if you're in a place where you're in the trenches, embrace those blessings, because that is a blessing. Being in those dark places, being in those hard places, on the front lines of the spiritual war, that's exactly where you want to be sometimes, because that's where you grow the most, man. You just have, like, there's no choice. You have no choice but to grow. All right. So with all that being said, check out the Regal Change Academy group and online school that we have in the link in the description box below, or set up a one-on-one mentorship call with me as well, and we'll figure something out, you know, because what I'm doing is I'm revolutionizing psychology and spirituality, and I'm aiming to attract people that have eyes to hear and eyes to see and ears to hear, you know. So this is what we want to be doing. This is what we want to make people into, is a for the men, godlike savages. For the women, we want warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, definitely, you know, hit me up and we'll get some counseling going, or some consultations going, or, you know, join the school that we have. We have an announcement coming up in a few days that I'll be announcing on my community posts and everything like that. So be sure to keep an eye out. Peace be with you. Until next time.